East of Glen Allen, there is a stretch of wilderness unequaled anywhere in the country. Wrangell St. Elias National Park, the largest park in the nation, and right now the center of a dispute over property rights and the ability to cross federal land. In the middle of this dispute, a family the likes of which we just don't see very often.
Yes, I was dreaming of a little cabin when I heard somebody call my name. I looked and saw a sweet old lady.
In the Wrangell Mountains, 20 miles from the relics of the Kennecott mine site, a large family lives in a small cabin far from Walmarts, Burger Kings, and televisions. But they have their music.
In dreams of yesterday I wandered back to my little cabin door. I strove beside
Not your average family, 17 in all. They call themselves the Pilgrims. The head of the family is Papa, or simply Pilgrim. His real name is Robert Hale. He brought his family to Alaska in 1998 after living 23 years in the wilderness of New Mexico.
We just simply were shepherds. We grew our food, we made our soap, we made our own bread. I mean, you know, everything. We tanned our hides, and we grew up working and loving and spent a lot of time in the Spirit with the Lord, and we became a real strong, unified family. Then, one day, the Lord told us to go to Alaska.
The family takes religion quite seriously, right down to the children's names.
Noah.
You're Noah.
Abraham.
There's Israel and Moses.
This is Lamb and this is Psalm.
And that's just scratching the surface. After drifting around the state for a few years, the family came across this property along McCarthy Creek, an old mining claim smack dab in the center of our nation's largest national park. Wrangell St. Elias, 13.2 million acres, home to some of the largest mountains and glaciers in the world. Congress created the park in 1980 with the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act. The Pilgrim family figured it to be the perfect place to live a simple life, minding their own business. But they've become the center of one of the most divisive controversies in this area since the park's creation.
We're not looking to control what they do with their land, but certainly we have the responsibility to protect the public lands that surround their property.
Park Superintendent Gary Candelaria says the park became concerned when rangers noticed clearing around the Pilgrim property that appeared to be on park land. And then, this spring, they found a 14-mile scar, a road bulldozed from the Pilgrim property to the town of McCarthy, right through the national park. Until now, the Park Service says the Pilgrims refuse to talk to them, won't answer letters.
Sometimes I feel like we're back in the Old West.
Kennecott District Ranger Marshall Neat.
We're not communicating, so that makes it difficult for us. We're unsure about what their intentions are, and that lack of communication makes that even harder.
The Anilka law allows access across park land by airplane, snowmobiles in the winter, motorboats. Bulldozers are not on the list.
Bulldozing a road across public lands in a national park is something that we would only look at as a very extreme consideration.
At no time was I notified that I needed a permit of any kind to use this road.
Then again, Pilgrim didn't ask. The Park Service posted no motorized access signs along the newly plowed road. It angered McCarthy residents, most of whom enjoy the company of the friendly yet odd family that also spends time in McCarthy at this cabin, where the older children give tourists rides on their horse trailer.
The Park Service has...
Rick Kenyon, who owns a bed and breakfast and writes a community newsletter, also claims the park has engaged in slanderous rumors against the Pilgrims.
A growing level of distrust of the Park Service, and that's not good. Like my wife told me, we don't want to distrust you. We want to respect you and give you honor. But we're forced to have to watch you because of the things that we see.
For many of the people who live in McCarthy, the issue is access to the many private in-holdings in Wrangell-St. Elias National Park. There are 1 million acres of private land within the park. The people of McCarthy take their access very seriously. You can imagine it being that way, where the only way in and out during the summertime is a narrow footbridge. When this bridge was put in, people still realized they could get a narrow Subaru through here. That's when the state put in these. The state also put in big metal posts at the end to keep ATVs from crossing. They put them in 18 times. And 18 times, someone has come out here and cut them off. The state manages the 60-mile dirt road that cuts through the park to McCarthy. The state also claims a right-of-way access for the road up McCarthy Creek to the Pilgrim property. You see, the road was once plowed by miners in the 1920s, and under a federal mining law from the 1800s, revised statute 2477, the state can claim right-of-way access for these old roads, and the road plowed by the Pilgrims is one of more than 600 in Alaska claimed by the state. But the state hasn't surveyed the route to know exactly where it once traveled. The Pilgrims didn't get any of the necessary permits, and the Park Service isn't conceding RS 2477s are even valid.
If a process isn't in place and a process isn't followed, and individuals are allowed to assert these things without oversight or without, any kind of coordination, yes, you could end up seeing everybody who feels they want to have, a road and happen to have an RS 2477 run past their property, bulldozing roads.
Issues about access and easements and how you get from point A to point B.
The Pilgrim controversy brought state officials to McCarthy for a town meeting to discuss access and RS 2477s. The people, including Pilgrim, wanted simple answers. They didn't get them.
This isn't an RS 2477 issue, and it isn't about the Pilgrims or about this road. It's about access in this park. And the question that Rick asks is very valid. Can we go home, or do we need permission to go home?
You're piling up a whole bunch of different complicated laws into one question. And that's why it's not an easy answer.
Is it reasonable to ask for permission if all I'm doing, this guy here can't go home to the other half of the family?
This is what the big fear going on here, is that we're losing our rights. And we're actually, once we enter into a negotiation, we get put under covenants and under a fee process, so we agree to access your own property.
The state firmly maintains its rights under RS 2477 and plans to survey the Pilgrims Road this summer. At the same time, it appears the unauthorized bulldozing violated the law.
Heavy equipment, bulldozer work needs a land use permit from DNR. That's how we keep track of maintenance activities. And we also tell the applicant that you need to contact the underlying landowner because they've got some rights to regulate those kinds of activities as well.
The National Park Service is surveying the Pilgrim property to determine the extent of damage to park land and possible civil penalties against the Pilgrims. We were with Papa Pilgrim when he learned some disturbing news of the survey results.
Oh, is that a corner?
Yeah, that's the corner to the top side of our property.
That is right there?
Yeah. That's the top.
Oh my
corner.
goodness.
If you go due south, it puts this corner from right here. It puts that corner right through the less than half of our house there.
So
And it runs
they're going to
this
cut
way.
our house in two, huh?
Hardly what this family, trying to mind its own business, expected living in the wilderness. But they plan to work through the challenges. As always, they've got each other, and none plan to leave the family, even 27-year-old Alicia Butt, the oldest child.
In this world, everybody's trying everybody on like a new pair of blue jeans, and it's not the way we do it. My favorite thing in life to do is work and help and cook and serve my brothers and sisters and play music. And one of our most favorite things to do is get together and share, and I don't know how I could be any happier. I really ain't looking for anything.
No school, no television, just each other, their music, and a patch of land in a wild place.
The life and the land where I live is like a temporary thing. I'm still reaching forward to that heavenly kingdom that is promised Christians and the basis of this country. And I'm a pilgrim, a stranger in that sense. That's what the scriptures say we are. And it just seemed so beautiful that I was a pilgrim. And one day someone asked me my name, and I said, I'm Pilgrim. So it's as simple as that.
Well, hillbilly music walk hand in hand with a one-way ticket to the glory land. So come on down, hillbilly town. Rich folk are living in a poor folk town. Got no money, but we're rich in love. That's the one thing we got plenty of.
Quite an interesting family.
Yeah.
Pilgrim is 62 years old. His youngest child is 5 months, and he says he figures the Lord will bless him with 5 more.
Wow. Fascinating family.
My
Jason,
gosh.
you have to ask, though, and I'm sure you did, how can they afford property and just to put shoes on, you do the count, that's 34 feet,
17
kids.
mouths to feed,
Yeah.
34 feet to put shoes on. You're right. Well, you know, the children do odd jobs. They give rides on the horse trailer around McCarthy there to tourists. They also do sheetrock and other various work, but also the permanent fund dividend. If everyone got one at last year's amount, that would amount to more than $26,000 in their pockets. So one benefit, I guess, to living in Alaska.
They must do a lot of passing down, too. Clothes and
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Well, they seem to have a lot of joy in their family, that's for sure.
Despite the controversy.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Jason.
much, Jason.